And welcome to episode 56 of Ring Talk. I'm Max Budgen, not Martin Theobald. I unfortunately had to step in. Martin's unavailable today, but I'm here with Steve Goodwin after a busy weekend of travelling Europe and watching his fighters in some big fights. But I think first of all, Steve wants to just ask you a quick message about subscribing to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, we're trying to get the subscription level up to enough that the boxers can get paid. Once we hit the 1,000 subscribers, we start to generate revenue, which means we can help boxers when they're reaching title fights with their costs of the fights and everything like that. Now, obviously, boxers themselves, we've had a look down. You're not even subscribing, and you're watching it. So if you're not subscribing and you're a boxer or a friend of the boxer or a supporter of boxers, just hit the button and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. But I find it crazy that people that are going to financially benefit from this are not actually subscribing. So please do it, because it's to everybody's benefit and nobody loses. You don't lose a penny out of doing that. So it's really important you do that.
Cool. Okay, and then quickly on to sponsor of the week. This is a company called Southern Grove, who look after Tony Peel and his boxers. So do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important that these people that sponsor you, the boxers, are so important, and they make the difference between a boxer being able to make that commitment, especially when you're not a TV fighter. And Southern Grove do an amazing job for Tony Peel and his stable of fighters. They're property developers in London. If you're involved in the property business, then contact these people, support your own, and your own are the people that help out boxers. So if you're watching, look at Southern Grove, go and research them on the internet and go and support these people. And say if you're a boxer who've got a sponsor, then please come and tell us about them, because only in the last week, it's only Southern Grove that have come forward. And if you're a boxer with a sponsor, then you're not doing the right thing by not giving them some public airing. So come and let us know about your sponsors, and we'll give them a mention on this show.
Cool, perfect. Okay, so let's get on to the weekend's action then. You were out in Madrid.
Yeah.
Flew out Thursday, is that right?
Thursday night. I flew with Xavier Miller, who was doing the cuts in Sam Smith's corner, so we flew out together. Went to Madrid, saw Sam over there. Obviously, we went to the fight. We thought she had a chance of winning. I'm not saying she was favourite. She wasn't. And I had her level after the first 4 rounds. But and be careful what I say here. I don't feel it was a level playing field, and the opponent was throwing more punches in rounds 9 and 10. Without breathing heavily than as many as she was in round 3 and 4, and you know, it was not, for a 36-year-old, it was an unbelievable performance. When she was moving, she wasn't standing still, and yeah, I think Sam was all up against it. She rocked her badly in I think it was the 2nd round, but didn't follow up. But she gave a brilliant performance, and I think she was just up against it. But she didn't win the decision. There's no hard luck stories on the point scoring. We did lose the fight, but I'm determined to give Sam a chance, a real chance. I'll be working on something over the next month, something for this year. I want to give her a chance in a level playing field. She had one last year when she fought for the Commonwealth title in London. That didn't go away. This here, I think, was something where she was just really up against it, and I feel that I want to give her the chance on home soil, where we won't hopefully suffer the same disadvantages that we suffered there. The lady that beat her, I thought she fought really well, but I'd love to see her fighting away from home against a quality fighter, and I think we probably won't see the same level of performance.
Yeah, and how did Sam feel after? Was she?
Well, she knew she'd given it her all,
yeah.
And you know, I think she was upbeat, especially when I told her about the plans I've got for her. I did go into that fight thinking that if Sam lost, then that was it. But I don't feel that she had everything on a level playing field, and I felt she put such a great fight up that, in my opinion, I think she deserves to have a crack here. It's not cheap to put on big title fights in this country, but I'm going to do everything I can to do that for us towards the latter part of this year.
I suppose that's probably one of the better things about women's boxing is you can lose those opportunities, and you can probably have one tune-up fight, or maybe not even have another tune-up fight, and you can get another big shot, because the chances just seem to sort of roll back around, and a lot of women boxers have sort of fought each other before, and then they're fighting each other again for the same sort of titles. And
exactly, and she's at that level. I think what she did prove is she's at that level and can compete at that level, and given advantage of not having to go away from home, which I think will come back to one of the questions as to why we did it later on. I think she'll have a much bigger chance of winning a major title, and I'll be aiming for that this year.
Cool. Well done to Sam anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the Matchroom show on the Saturday. You had 3 fighters on there. Do you want to just run us through?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fed up with losing.
Wasn't a great weekend for the W's, was it?
Not on these 2 shows. No, I mean, Syrett was the only one that managed to get a victory. He performed well in the opening bout the night against Daniel Steinhoff. John Cole done a great job with him. He moves to 6-0. He's a year away, and it would be in title mix with Lewis, and he's a really great kid, and for him it was a dream to fight on a world title undercard, and he fulfilled a dream for himself, and he managed to get the W as well, which was great. Tom Ansell, it wasn't his greatest night. He didn't perform that well against Chris Hadaway. I have a view on why that is, and I've said it before, and now I'm concrete saying it, that these boxers, when they go under the light, shouldn't have fought 2 or 3 weeks before in a hard 6 rounder at your call. There's no way that, in my opinion, a boxer can produce the optimum performance. The same happened with Linus Udofia when he did it in December. He didn't perform as well as he would have done under the lights. 2-week gap. Same's happened to Tom Ansell. Same happened to John Palata on Saturday at your call as well. 2 weeks apart, he didn't produce the same level of performance. And I don't blame anybody other than myself. I take the blame, because at the end of the day, no matter what the trainer and boxer says, the buck stops with the manager, and it's something that in future I will just say no, it's not going to happen. But I think sometimes he was working well in the gym, the trainer was happy, the trainer wanted to go twice, but it's happened now once too often for me to see a boxer flat after coming out a short time after boxing before.
It's quite common that you see it, but why do fighters want to get out twice?
I don't understand why Tom needed to do that, really, because he's not got amateur experience, and he's 6-0, so to a certain extent he's rushing, and he's not that old, there was no need to rush. He should have gone to I think he should have fought on the Matchroom show. I just don't think he should have fought on the Your Call show before. But sometimes people are keen, they're enthusiastic, they're building the record up, but a little bit slower would have been better, and I think it's a lesson learned for the future, and I'm sure that I'll have trainers say the same thing to me, but I will need to be a little bit more firmer in my opinions. Same as it was when about boxers going up from 4 to 6 rounds, is being a lot more, they've got to have their man strength before they do that. So that's a couple of things you learn as a manager, and I'm not going to sit here and blame anybody else other than myself, because I take responsibility when things foul, as well as accept some of the credit when things go well.
Yep.
So that's a mistake. Wadi Camacho,
yep,
he just wasn't good. He was up against somebody who was better than him.
The sheer size of Okolie is
when you look at it. When
you were there, and I was trying to tell you, and I was just, is that I've seen Wadi and I've met him quite a few times, and he's not a small guy by any means. He's a tall fella, and he's quite an imposing figure, but I mean, Lawrence just absolutely dwarfed him, and I'm flipping out.
He was stronger than him in the ring, wasn't he? It was like literally pushing him around. And
Wadi almost looked like he didn't really expect what sort of came in the ring with him, because it was trying to hold and grapple, and I think even then he just looked shocked that Lawrence was just so much stronger and could just bully him and push him about, and he landed obviously one good shot with that left hand, and I thought that actually did rock Lawrence, but obviously apart from that it was only really going to go one way, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
But where does Wadi go now? Has he said enough's enough, or does he want to?
Well, he needs to sit down and reflect for a couple of weeks. I know what I think, but that's obviously to be kept between himself and Wadi after he's talked to his training team, and we'll take it all from there. And Wadi's had, whatever he decides to do, he's had a magnificent career, being a prize fighter champion, fought for WBA International Commonwealth champion now, fought for the British title. You know, he's done very, very well in his career, and he's earned a fair bit of money at the end of this where he is at the moment. So you know, at the end of the day, if he feels that the time is right now, rather than to step out, rather than having to rebuild back again, you know, you couldn't argue with that, because he's had a brilliant career. And but Saturday, it was just the golf in levels, and you've just got to accept it. But watching it up close, the difference, I think it's going to be real. I don't think he's the greatest boxer in the world. He's not the cleanest either. I mean, he does he's continually doing illegal fouls.
Yeah, there's a lot of elbows and
back behind the head all the time.
Yeah.
But the referees seem to want to let him get away with it all the time, so he's going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, of course he is. Yeah.
You wouldn't get. I'm sure you wouldn't get away with it if you're on a away show in America.
No,
you wouldn't get away with half that. You know, but listen, he's using his attributes to the best of his advantage, and it was far too good for Wadi on Saturday. But in reality, we knew what we were doing. We knew where we were. We knew that we were the outsider, but it was the right decision to give Wadi the biggest payday that we could get.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, you see Wadi on social media, and he's always with his little girl, and you can see she adores him and he adores her. So, you know, if he did decide to hang the gloves up and decide enough was enough, you know, he's got those belts on the mantelpiece that his daughter would always see, and I think full respect to him for everything that he's done in his career.
He was cheered out of the ring. He's become a very popular figure now, and it's very important, you know, because before I wouldn't say that in his previous life he was the most popular guy, but now he's very, very popular with the fans. He was cheered out, and it was really nice to see. And he's got other things outside boxing. He's got a lovely dorsal, and you know that could well be where he spends his time from now on, and he'd make a superb trainer, a superb coach if he wants to do that. Mm-hmm. Because if he goes on, he's got to go to the rebuild, and we've just spent 2 years building to this again, and he's 33 now. So you know,
well, but we'll see whatever it is.
But it's up to him, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So should we talk about your call now, or do you want? Yeah. Okay, so we'll go to your call. You had was it your third show in a
fourth in a row, fourth in 4 weeks, that we've been involved with.
I'm sure everyone is fed up with the sight of your call for March anyway, and getting a little rest out, don't they? But
absolutely.
Yeah. So do you want to talk us through this show then?
Yeah. I mean, we'll start off. Brad Paul's opened the show. Brad, we're hunting down titles now for him. He dispatched Konstantin Alexandrov in 2 rounds. Brad's a great fighter. He's 11-0, 7 KOs, hits hard, exciting. He's got everything. He's definitely a champion in the waiting. And it's a case of manoeuvre him now for titles. He's out again next month in 4 weeks in Torquay on a Chris Sanagar show. And then we're looking to get him out again in May, towards the end of May. So all in all, I think he's ready to take on now all comers, and you know, get himself up in the title mix. So hopefully we'll have some news about that when we're back in 2 weeks' time.
Cool.
Next, Curtis Felix, who moved to 8-0. He won a Southern Area title eliminator last year. He's come back now, another win. We're now knocking on the doors for area titles now. Something we'll be looking at for him over the next, I'd say 3 to 6 months. I'd hope he'll get a title shot, and then we can move on. But he's definitely now really produced everything that we'd want to see for somebody that can manage that. John Palata, I haven't seen the fight yet, but I'm told that he was flat compared to what he was a couple of weeks ago.
It goes back to what we were
same thing
about
again.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah, he was devastating 2 weeks ago, and he didn't look devastating this time. And I think that for most fighters, it's hard to go again and be the same 2 weeks afterwards. Dave Abraham moved to 7-0. We're going to sit down with Dave and decide where he wants to go from here. He's 7-0 now as a heavyweight. We possibly need to move up the rounds now, but it's going to be up to him to decide where he wants to go. And a Mickey Amu fighter, Ramez Mahmood, he missed a fight last week. He was due to fight, but unfortunately got left in the crap by the by somebody's manager who forgot to tell me that a guy had retired. So 3 days before the fight, his opponent pulled out, but we hadn't known there was a problem, and we couldn't get an opponent in time, so we had to make a quick fight here. He had to fight Eddie Borkland again. He has fought him before, but the most important thing was to get him out, and he did. And then top of the bill was the Albanian sensation Florian Marku, and I think those of you that have seen the footage of York on Saturday will see what an unbelievable, sensational atmosphere there was. And he won in 2 rounds, but he's back out in 4 weeks, and he's taking on Robert Asagba in 4 weeks. And Robert had obviously seen the fight and sent me a text saying, "Are they serious? I'm going to smash this kid and knock him out." So it's quite it's a good little fight. It's going to be a good fight, and he's going to be bringing it to Florian, so it's going to be a great fight. So I think it could be even more exciting than it was last time, because you've got somebody who's really coming with ambition this time, so that'll be exciting.
Yeah, I have to say that the fan base and the following that he's got is pretty special. If you haven't looked at stuff on social media, then definitely do, because that's something I've never seen at your call before.
But he's not looking for journeymen. He wants fighters with positive records who are coming to fight him. Yeah, it's really refreshing. Yeah. He says he even asked me to try and get him a 9-0 kid who was Central Area Champions. Northern England. He wanted him. He's going down this. I'll have him 9-0. Bring him down. I'll have him. He was for everybody.
That's great. It's great to see, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great to see. So he wants that proper fight. So
special. So
yeah,
well done to him. Okay, so as we go on to, you've got 3 champions that you've got sort of fights in the pipeline or stuff that you're working on. So
we should be able to announce that in 2 weeks. So we're off next week because I'm in Turkey. But Liam Dillon, we've done a deal at the moment. We're just waiting to get it signed off by the area council. So hopefully that will be signed off in 2 weeks. Great opportunity for him. I think he can win his first defence, and it's a good financial deal for him as well. Daniel Mendes, we're looking at 2 options at the moment for him, and we'll make a decision on that in the next 48 hours. And Sean Robinson, who's a Southern Area Super Welterweight champion, we're having a meeting on Wednesday with him and Terry Stewart, his trainer, and then looking at the options that we have. I've had Dean Richardson, who's one of my fighters, he's chasing down the fight as well. So not sure that is going to be Sean's next fight, but I know Dean wants it now. But you know, they can both move parallel. They don't have to meet together, but if they both want it, then I have to do it. But something we'll talk to Sean about on Wednesday. But no, exciting times with those 3. So we've got lots to look forward to, and working on a couple of other title opportunities for other fighters that we should know about in the next 2 to 3 weeks as well. So
you're already getting that work fully underway for the shows that are coming up in the
some title fights to add on. The June July ones, we've got title fights to sort out and add on, so hopefully we'll have them all tied up within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
And then Liam and Daniel, we're looking at fights on your shows, or
Liam possibly not on our show. Daniel, yes. Sean, yes. But the offer we had for Liam is exceptional for what we got. So you know, at the point when you are a champion, you have a 3-4 month window to do a voluntary. And it's at that time that you command the money. Once you miss the voluntary and you get your mandatory, you don't call the shots anymore. So this is the period upon which a champion can maximise his deal earning, and this is the time where they can say, well, look, if you want to fight me, then this is the deal I want. And so they have this window of opportunity to try and get a really good financial deal for themselves.
So stay tuned for that, but coming in the next couple of weeks.
100%.
Perfect. I think that covers off everything from the weekend from Goodwin boxing perspective. So should we go on to some questions that we've had? So the first one is from Matt Goddard. How do you balance ticket sales to potential and ability with regards to your investment in a fighter?
Okay, let's look at investment. Now, our investment in a fighter is that we don't take management fees off them until they reach £4,000, and then we only take 10% thereafter. So what we are doing then is basically saying to a fighter, we're not going to keep taking money off you. So that's our investment in them. There is very little point then. For example, if I get a boxer in a big title fight, I can't throw £10,000 at it, because they'd have to earn £100,000 back for me to get my 10,000 back. So because I'm not taking 25%.
Yeah.
So therefore, on that basis, there's no money to throw at them. However, what you can sometimes do is help them with get sponsors behind them in big title fights like we did with Kay Prosper and things like that. But I wouldn't take a fighter from scratch coming to me and saying, yeah, I could sell 10 tickets and I'm starting off at 0, but I will be a good fighter in 3 years' time, because I'd have to sell. I'd probably have to sell. Give it by the time he's got there. It would cost. I could put the deposit on a house for what it would cost to get him there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you probably do 40 grand in trying to build up a fighter. In which case, then I'm looking at trying to get him to earn 400,000, and then you've got the risk that after 3 years he says, "Well, thanks for that 40 grand. I'm jacking off." So, and I've done that before. I've invested in a fighter before, and found that when I've invested in them and it's got them to where they want to go, they just leave.
Yeah.
So investing in fighters is a thing where I will invest by saying, this is my investment in you, that I'm not going to take money off you, rather than here's a load of money just to throw down the drain. So there's got to be a commitment both ways. So if a fighter, unfortunately, only sells 10 tickets, they get to 10 and 0, 11 and 0, and you go to Eddie Hearn and say, I've got this fight, he's really good at it, he's won a Southern area, he's going to head for British. He only does 10 tickets though. Eddie will say, fuck off down the road and give me somebody that's marketable. They're looking for people they can market. So there is little point in somebody who does not have any marketing or has got any potential marketing to turn pro. I would say stay amateur or do something else with your life, because you're never going to make it if you've got no, in today's world, if you have no marketability.
And for me, that's something that I always find quite interesting with boxers is how do you do it? And I know there's boxers out there that do it very well, and one that always springs to mind is Lioness, and I've seen what he's done, and he's now sort of affiliated himself with Luton Town really well, and that sort of stuff is massive and is always a massive help. But there's so many boxers out there, and for me, every single professional boxer can't do that, or may not have the ability that Lioness has, and people can see that they're limited to a certain extent and they're only going to get to a certain level. What advice would you or do you give, or how would you advise someone that actually I'm good to a certain level and I can bring a fan base in, but how do boxers learn how to do that properly?
When you say to a level, you talk about level of ability or level of marketability or marketing?
For me, level of boxing ability.
Well, if you've got two jobs. Right? When a guy turns over, you've got two jobs, right? You've got the boxing and you've got the marketing. If you're no good, if they don't both fit, then there's only certain levels you can go. If you can market yourself well and sell tickets, that will take you a fair way. But it will take you a further way than a guy who's got no marketing and has got more ability, because being able to market yourself sells you well. Florian Marku, who sells You're Caught Out on his own, he has got potential, he's got talent as well, but he can build himself up and pick up titles and things like that. So he's got the world's at his feet, because he can, and that's an extreme example. But if you are somebody that can sell a big number of tickets like Josh Warrington, you can develop slower than everybody else. You don't have to rush into the big fights, and your development can be at a certain pace, and then promoters will jump on the bandwagon with you, and you can be allowed to develop more. If you haven't got that ability to keep marketing yourself, after 5 fights, 6 fights, you're looking for 50-50 fights or to be thrown in. So it becomes a much more difficult situation for a boxer. So you need to have either ticket selling sponsors or both behind you to get yourself lifted up. But it's not easy to get that.
No.
But if so
that ticket selling stuff comes from the marketing and promoting yourself and in all angles that you can. But I think just from what I see personally, it takes a certain kind of person to do that well.
Correct.
Would you agree that
Totally.
It's difficult? It's not an easy thing to do.
If you've got somebody that has got no personality, cannot market themselves, right, and they're not even marketable, and they won't talk to sponsors or anything like that, don't be a pro, because you're never going to make it. You need to be able to. You've either got to be an Olympian or somebody of that level, or have a massive fan base to jump onto these television platforms. It's just what they want now. The television do not want people that sell 10 tickets on there unless they are so exceptional that they can generate. So it's just how it is. I mean, Boazzi and Okolie, Olympians, I'll take them because they know they're going to reach world level. But if they've got fighters that are maybe up to British level, what Eddie Hearn will decide to do, and somebody like him will say, let somebody else build them up. They build up themselves, and I'll just take them at the last minute, and really I'm not that fussed whether they win or lose, and I'll use them when they need to fight for a title. Or, oh God, they're at that level and they've got a massive fan base, I could build them in that area, I'll take them now. But they'll only take them if you actually can deliver both aspects. And that's what I say to boxers. One, if you can't market yourself, then it's absolutely, you're only going to reach a certain level because you're never going to go on from small horse to TV.
And that's a big thing that you'll say to boxers when they come to you to say, I'm interested in signing, you talk them through that. And
I do. I mean, other managers will say to them some bullshit like, oh, I don't have to worry about tickets, we'll get you some sponsors, we'll do this, we'll do that. And the boxer go, oh, this is good, this is a shortcut. Then they sign, and then down the line in 6 months, that's not really what they were told, but then they sign for 3 years. And then they think, I was lied to there. But with us, we tell everybody exactly as it is, and they can then make an informed decision. But it's very, so I know Matt used to box, but the point is, there is no such thing as investing, because it's if you put 20, 30 grand into a boxer as a manager, unless they're going to be in fighting for world titles, you're never, and they're going to be loyal, you're never going to see that money again.
And you've got that, you're never going to have that guarantee. You can't guarantee you've got a world champion, you can't guarantee that you've got someone who's loyal either, so...
And that's the problem.
Cool. Okay, so let's go on to the next question from Daniel Smith. If Steve was on a TV platform that is pay monthly to watch, i.e. Sky or BT, what would Steve consider to be the minimum standard of a Saturday fight night he would want to put on? World title, European, British, 50-50 fights, not all these 1 to 50 odds-on favourites.
I forget world titles, right? Because I don't care what label you stick on a fight. So you put Charlie Edwards on Saturday. If you like that fight, full credit to you. Not for me, right? If you want to watch fights where people are 1 to 50 on, not for me. So it doesn't matter what labels, you know, the WBA International, WBC International, they're just Mickey Mouse labels that go on these fights. What I'd like to see is real quality fights that are 4 to 7 on fights, 1 to 2 on fights, maybe 5 to 6 each of 2. And if it's a slightly lower standard, even a British title where it's a bit more competitive, or an English title, or a Commonwealth title, but where you are looking at real fights, you need to have the majority of televised fights like that, because otherwise you're just watching something over 4 hours or 3 hours where it's obvious who's going to win, and I think that's quite boring. So you may say, oh, that was really good watching Joshua Boazzi destroy Liam Conway. And Liam Conway put up a good fight, to be fair to him, but the fight was only ever going to be one way. And the most competitive fight on that card, supposed by the bookmakers, was actually Lawrence Okolie, Wadi, Camacho. Seriously, and so if that's the most competitive fight you're putting on that card,
it's 1 to 33.
No, 1 to 12. You could get
12. Okay.
I think Wadi was 9 to 1.
Yeah.
So that was the most competitive fight on that card, and that's ridiculous, right? So that's not a product that I would personally like to put out. I think you need to get. I'm not saying you're not developing fighters through, and it's important, but you need to have fights that people are going to think it goes one way, then goes the other. And I'm surprised that Eddie, who has dumped English titles and things like that, because they offer much greater entertainment for the public than some of these 1 to 66 shots. So putting Charlie Edwards in a world title fight, to me, is a load of nonsense. How's that headlining, a 1 to 66 shot is headlining a show? And Adam Smith apparently said when first I won, oh, this is a really close fight. But it's 1 to 66. You're trying to insult the viewing public by saying something's competitive when it's not competitive. So for me, the minimum standard would probably be the Liverpool show next week, but that would be the bare minimum standard, the bare minimum. And the most competitive fight they've got of the night is not even on Sky TV, it's being shown on Facebook Live, which is Bo's challenging, defending his title.
Oh, is that on Facebook Live?
Against Powell. No, it's not, and that's the only one that's really close in the betting. So I think you need to have much more fights that are more competitive, and get these fights where people can enjoy it. I think these 1 to 66s, we're going back to where we were 5-6 years ago, before Eddie Hearn came on board or whatever it was, and that's where we're going, and we need to realise what made boxing great here, which was really good competitive fights, and that seems to have now been forgotten. And it's all about just building up people in what couldn't be considered mismatches.
And I think, but I would say that competitive fights or competitive world title fights or whatever they be on, you know, the shows out in America as well. And if you look at them, there's not that many. There really isn't. If you look at the likes of Lomachenko, or, you know, there's been so many fights recently, and you think, do I want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and watch that? No, probably not.
Too much money in giving. People are not having to fight good people now for the money. They're able to get well paid and fight fighters 2 levels, 3 levels below them, and it's starting to, I think, devalue our whole brand of boxing. And you keep spinning this stuff all you like, but in reality, if you're watching Arsenal play Yeovil Town every week on football, you might be a football fan, but you might get sick of it if you watch it every week. Whereas you want to see Arsenal play Liverpool, Man United, Tottenham. That's what we want to be seeing. The matches where, or whether it's, you know, Watford, Everton, whatever it may be, people that you think, I'm not sure who's going to win this.
Yeah.
But we're now just getting fed continual 1 to 33 shots every week.
And I think at that level of boxing, we're talking, you know, the top echelons of it. For me, I look at nothing in 2019 at the minute and think, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a great fight. I can't wait to see that, because it doesn't look like anything's going to get made on that level that you can kind of stop and go, we're going to watch that.
Do you know, I used to sit on a Saturday night and I'd say, I want to stand and watch this.
Yeah.
Now Saturday night we've got some friends coming down, and this is a Liverpool show, and friends coming down, and they said, should we go for a meal? Yeah, let's go for a meal. I'm not even bothered about staying to watch it anymore, because there's nothing there that grabs me. You know, if we're looking at Saturday, you've got Liam Smith, Sam Eggington. That's a one-way destruction fight. You've got the fight with Joe Hughes is the one good, I think the one cracking fight on the card, the Joe Hughes fight against Robbie Davis.
Yeah.
That's a really good fight, and I think, and the Philip Bowes fight's a good fight as well. So I think what's more the same. I
think that's more the social media war and the hype that.
But then it's not really a competitive fight.
Yeah.
But I think again it's a minimum standard, but it's not enough to make me want to stay. Want to make me have a row with the wife and say I'm staying in, you're staying in to watch boxing, we're not going out. Whereas other times I'll say, well, let's get a takeaway and stand and watch it. So I think, well, what I'll do is go out, whiz through it in the next morning, watch what I want to watch and go. But it's not grabbing me to want to stay in and watch this. Same as Saturday, after Wadi finished, I left.
Yeah, I flicked over after Wadi. Flicked over, I wasn't interested.
Because you knew he was going to win the next fights.
Yeah. And to be fair, I was going to watch Wadi, but in the end I thought I can't be bothered. But I've watched it back, and obviously he looks like he's on his way to greatness.
I like Joshua Brooks, brilliant fighter. But you know, we need to, you know, hope Yarde, talking about the division, hope Yarde fights Kovalev, because if he ducks Kovalev, that will be about the 5th duck. That'll be the 5th duck, because that's what
I can't see it though. It's another one I can't.
They'll find a reason to, you know. That's what I hope he does fight.
He's already come out saying, Tenderjo saying he's I'm the ace.
What a load of bollocks is that? Yeah. But the point is, it's about time he stopped avoiding Callum Johnson. He stops avoiding Hosea Burton. Whatever it is, they're not at my level. I need to fight high level. Yeah. Now you've got to fight at your level with your ranking. But let's see if he actually goes through. If he goes through with it, hats off to him. But hats off to it, and I'll say, good luck, Anthony. Hope you win it.
Yeah.
But I just get a feeling we're going to find another way that it wasn't the right fight at the right time. But I hope he does do it, because Kovalev's old now. Although I think he beats Yarde, but I think it's a great fight, and I hope he goes forward, because otherwise we're going to listen to all the other stuff, all the other bloody lines in the
camp
and all that stuff. There's no line if you don't want to fight anybody, right? Lions will fight anybody. So let's see him fight.
There's no lions in that camp at the minute.
Let's hope he can become a lion.
Definitely, yeah. Cool. Okay. The next one. This is from Boxing 123. How do you weigh up the risk-reward factors when the likes of Wadi and Sam are both in fights they're huge underdogs in? How much is it about the pound note for them, and how much is their health and longevity of career?
Right, the most important thing is health. And so health comes first. So if you take the Wadi fight, right? The Wadi fight was purely, once he won the Commonwealth title, where can we get him the most money? And where can we make sure that he doesn't get seriously hurt? So when you then take the fight, the agreement with Terry Coulter, his trainer, was if he's under fire, the towel's going in. And therefore, he's not going to get a sustained beating in that fight, because if it goes wrong, he's going to go in. And Terry was literally 2 seconds away from chucking the towel.
Yeah, I think credit to the ref there who stepped in at the perfect
on.
Yeah.
But if not, the towel was about to come in. So in that fight, because we knew the corner were looking after him, the health was protected. If you had Wadi with a brave corner in there, I wouldn't have wanted to do that fight. So I knew that if the referee didn't stop it, the corner would. So therefore, if things didn't go our way, and they didn't, I didn't feel his health was going to be at risk in that fight. So the health would be at risk if you suffer sustained beating. And that was never ever going to happen in that fight. So health comes first. Then it depends on what you want. What he was after the money. So we went for the money with the health. With Sam, it wasn't for the money. It was for the fact that she wanted a crack at a title. And we didn't have... There was a short-term purse bid order, very short. And I didn't have the time to actually try and build it back here. So if we went to purse bids, we're going to be going into purse bids with a gun with no bullets in it. Right. So that made no sense. So therefore we took the offer from Spain and she went there. It was okay money, but it wasn't great money. So she went there with the chance to win. But as I said to you, when I got there and after 2 or 3 rounds, after 4 rounds, you looked and thought, we're not winning this fight. But to be fair, she battled on. She didn't take a bad hammering, but she lost, and she can come again. But I think the most important thing is the boxer's health. And I have made mistakes on that, and I think there's another question there, but I've made a mistake in the past on that, and it's something I'll never wish to repeat, because we all make mistakes in life. Do
you find it difficult when you're negotiating for those sort of fights, when you're thinking there's a lot of different factors into, Wadi's obviously, it's his last sort of, or probably his last chance at trying to sort of get to that next level in boxing, and it's also about the money, and is that quite a difficult balancing act, or is it something that you just...
Well, no, I mean, I set an amount of money we wanted, and if you notice that they trying to do it in February, this fight just didn't happen. It took a while because I wasn't going to let him fight until he got the right amount of money. That was it. So that was the only thing I knew the figure it was worth, and until we got that figure, we weren't fighting. So I waited and waited, and negotiated and waited, and then until the end when we got the fight done at the right money.
Maybe that's what the Wilder team are doing with AJ as well, maybe.
Perhaps. The thing about that is, in the end, I've given up trying to work out what's really going on.
Yeah.
There's so many smoke screen and mirrors involved in that, these offers that are, so I don't know who, and I'm sure that my belief is that Joshua didn't want any part of it before, and after he fought Fury, Josh was probably thinking, I might take that now.
Yeah.
And I think the emphasis changed. So when they were saying they wanted it before, maybe they didn't, and now they want it, maybe the others don't. I don't know how it's working, but obviously there's no appetite for doing that fight at the moment.
Yeah, I was listening to Mike's podcast earlier actually, and I think he made a really good point. He said one of the biggest issues with this whole free Fury Wilder Joshua is like, one of the biggest issues is IFL TV, because now we know exactly what's going on at all times, and we get it from all different angles, we hear loads of different stories, so then we're like, well, hold on, what actually is happening? So before we would have just sat there, waited for the fight to be announced, that either would have got made or it wouldn't, but now we hear so many different stories from different angles.
Yeah, get it.
So yeah, I think it's interesting, but we shall wait. We'll wait and see on that one. But I think we've got one final question, which is, I think it was from last week. Someone said, "What's your best decision you've made as a manager, and your worst?"
Yeah. Well, the worst decision, and I consider myself to be a good manager. But if I sat here and said, I tell my boss I believe I'm as good a manager as anybody, but I've made mistakes, and we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. The worst decision I ever made was I had a journeyman boxer called Jeffrey Cave.
Yeah.
And he wanted to fight on a big stage, and I let him go and fight Lawrence Okolie.
I know this story,
right?
yeah.
And he got absolutely ironed out, and no amount of money was worth that happening. So, if you notice, since then, that I'm not keen on letting my fighters go in the away corner against on these big shows, because you might get more money, but what I have learned is no matter how brave you are, you're not getting enough money to put your health at danger if the levels are that far apart. And that was a serious mistake, and one I've regretted ever since. That was the worst decision I've made, but it's not something I'll do again. Other poor decisions I've made are letting fighters step up to 6 rounds when they shouldn't, and allowing fighters to fight in too short a period of time. But that's the one glaring mistake I've made, but it doesn't get made again. And the other ones, I've also rectified that. But anybody that says that they've never made mistakes are lying, and as long as you make a mistake and only make it once, then that's okay. Probably the best decision I've made quite a lot of them, but a good decision as well. But I think pushing Jamali Camiro into a Southern Area title fight at a very, very infant time of his career, and taking an opportunity when we thought it was available, when nobody really thought he was up to the level of winning anything, I think that was probably the one of the smartest decisions and manoeuvres that we've made. There's plenty of others that you could say, but like Frank Bullioni against doing the Hazard Burton thing. But I mean, again, you can't say that was a smart decision because it was a last round win. This was there was a bit of luck and thing involved that we needed that last round. But I think definitely the Jamali one was one of the good decisions that we've made. But the point is that we've created a lot of champions here, so that every single one has got a story about how we've manoeuvred them to becoming champions. And there's loads more champions in the camp. So developing careers is one of the things I love doing, and we've got some really, really good talent going forward. And the errors that I've made in the past will never be repeated. But the Jeffrey Cave one is one that I didn't go. Josh went with him.
Yeah, Josh told me about it.
Josh went with him, and I can't remember where I was, but I wasn't even there. And that was a serious regret.
Cool. All right. Well, is that everything you've?
That's it, really. Well, I'm going to Turkey on Sunday for 3 days. I think I'm working in dog sanctuaries. I'm not going for... I know. I've got to... Well, because I haven't seen my wife for about a month. Right. So I've been boxing. She's going with Jane's sister to Turkey. And I think Tricia wants to do some voluntary work in dog sanctuaries. So I'll happily go along and help to do it. But listen, if she wanted me to go and work picking potatoes, I've got to go and do it, because you've got to play ball. Because that's her passion. Right? My passion is boxing. She supports it. So if her passion is dogs and helping dogs that are homeless and stuff, so I'll go and help her do that as well. So cool. That's what I'm doing for 3 days next week.
Enjoy yourself, and you'll be back the week after. And Martin will be back, and not me. Anyway, cheers for tuning in.
And thanks, Max, for stepping in. Big appreciation.
No problem. Cheers, guys.